Hi, and welcome back to Sustainable Teacher. If you are new here, my name is Leticia and I'm glad to meet you. And if you've been here before, I'm happy to see you again. In today's video, we are going to talk about how to design things for our project. This video is related to a previous video. I leave it over here. So in case you are interested in watching how to organize a project and teamwork. Today, we are going to focus on the design of your project, the drawings that you will need to do before starting performing your project. If this video sounds interesting to you, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Before starting doing anything in the workshop, in a technology class, or in the future if you have to do a physical project, you will need to design, to draw the things that you want to get, that you want to do. And to draw, you have to take into account three main things. But before, I want to talk about design. When you are designing, usually you are going to do two types of design. The first one is going to be the sketch, which is just a hand-free draw that you do on the beginning to start thinking about what you want to do. And once you have it clear, you will do your diagram. And your diagram is like a draw, but it's much more detailed. It has all the measures, all the materials, you have information related to all the parts in your design. And this information is on your paper or in your computer if you are doing it digitally. When you are doing a diagram, you have to take into account three things. These things are the perspective, the views, and the scale. And we will learn about this right now. If you want to do a nice project and you don't want to look like a 5-year-old boy painting, you need to use some techniques used in technical drawing for your design. Of course, the sketch is just free, but for your diagram, this is compulsory. The first thing is the perspective. Usually when you draw, you use naturally you use one of these two, the isometric perspective or the cavalier perspective. Sometimes you will find it called cabinet. It depends on the proportion of the depth, let's say. I just want to remind you that when we are using perspective to draw, we are still drawing in 2 dimensions because you are drawing in a paper and you only have height and width. You don't have depth. But the thing is that we trick our eye with perspective to make it like 3-dimensional. We are faking depth in our drawing, in our design, but it's not real. Like, it's not 3 dimensions in real it's just flat, okay? But we fake it. In both perspectives, the trick to draw them are angles. The angles are the secret to make them look that way. So in the isometric perspective, all the angles are 120 degrees. That's what is called ISO because they are all the same. They are all equal. And in the cavalier perspective is 90 degrees on one side and the other angles are 135 degrees each. The primary views in the orthographic projections are also really useful to make sure that you know which components will you have in each side of your project. It helps you to make yourself an idea of the 3 dimensions from all the perspectives that you can have in your project. And in this case, they are all flat, they are all bidimensional. They are not like, we are not trying to fake perspective. But if we take each side and we put them together, we can imagine the 3 dimensions of your object, and that's the interesting point of this. Usually when we are drawing the different faces, the different sides, we are not using all of them, because usually you will have like 6, like in a cube, like the top, the bottom, right, left, front, back. We usually use 3, and these are called the 3 primary views. And these are the front, the right side, sometimes the left side, and also the top, or plan view. Technically it's called plan view. We will do exercises about views in class. I leave a link in the card in case you want to work on this thing about views, and also another introductory video that I found in YouTube that I like a lot about the primary views. Finally, the last concept that you have to take into account are scales. If you are drawing different pieces that you will have to cut in wood, you need to make them at a specific scale. You can make a piece very big and then another piece very small, because they won't fit in your project. So when we talk about scales, that means that we are transforming the real side of something, and we are doing it smaller, or sometimes if the components are really small, like in computers, we are going to make them bigger. When we scale and we do things smaller than in reality, we are scaling down.
Then something quite unexpected happened.
Where are the kids?
I haven't seen them since I left this morning.
It shrunk the kids.
And if our draw is bigger than reality is smaller, we are scaling up.
Right, I confess, I did it!
Did what?
Peekaboo!
An example of scaling down, it could be a map. Usually when we see a map, we are watching a really extensive field in a paper. That means that it is smaller than reality. We scaled down to make this map. When we scale down, the number 1 is always on the left of your proportion, and that means 1 unit on your paper, on your design. The number on the right is always bigger than 1, and that means how many times this unit that you are representing in your paper is in real life. In this draw of this square, that means that the real square is double the size of the represented square. In this map, this means that 1 centimeter, 1 unit in the paper represent 50,000 units in reality. In the opposite case, in the scaling up, what you are doing is representing something that is smaller in reality bigger. So the first digit in the proportion indicates how many times the object is smaller in reality, and the second one is the unit. So in the case of this design, the proportion 4:1 means that you are doing your object 4 times bigger than in reality. I hope that in this video you learn how to design better, to make the difference between sketch and diagram, and which things you have to take into account to do your diagram, which is the perspective, the views, and the scale. Please leave in the comment if you ever done this kind of diagrams before, if you ever took into account these things about the scale, the perspective, the views before in your draws, and if you are thinking to use them because you think that this way your diagrams will be much better. And of course, see you soon!